What's up, man?
Hey, Carl, back again.
Yep. How was your week, man? It's been a while.
Dude, it's wild. There's so much going on in the NBA, and it's unfolding in front of us. Can you believe?
Yeah, it really is.
League's over.
I feel like a lot has happened, but not a huge shift.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like I was seeing things happening, but nothing really happened. And maybe that's just like the media trying to come up with rhetorics to just keep the conversations going. Makes it seem like there's a lot going on when really nothing's happening.
Yeah, I mean, in a world where Michael Jordan's son is dating Scottie Pippen's wife, you know, let's not forget that that's happening uh, beneath everything else. So, and he's not happy about it, but
I wouldn't imagine he's happy.
well, he said he wasn't happy, but then now apparently behind closed doors, he says he's all right with it. And the Scotty's wife, I should know her name, ex-wife, she
Mrs. Pippen.
Mrs. X Pippen, she was in dismay over this, and then apparently behind closed doors, uh, he said actually it's cool. So
Like he'll
happening.
just
That's
happening or
as we
like there's
sit
a done.
here, that's happening. Just that's the backdrop for this show. Okay, don't forget Scotty, his wife, Michael's son, as we live and breathe right now. Okay, continue.
All right. Well, I don't know how to follow that now. Well, let's get into the show. How about that?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Sideline Takes. I'm Carl in San Antonio, and with us today is our co-host William in Los Angeles. If this is your first time hanging out with us, we talk about trending topics around the NBA. Whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, we appreciate you tuning in. This is episode 4. Like I said, William, a lot has happened since we last spoke.
Yes, it really has. The Suns, they traded Cameron Payne to the Spurs, reportedly, to make room for a Bol Bol signing, which adds another big man to stacked Phoenix roster. LeBron James has the best supporting cast since the bubble title. Can he still lead the Lakers to the finals? We don't know. Houston walked away from the 2023 Summer League finals as losers. Champion Cleveland Cavaliers at last. And finally, Saturday, Steph Curry hit an electric 153-yard hole-in-one on the 7th hole American Century Championship with a pitching wedge. Celebrity tournament. Went on to win the championship with an eagle on the 18th hole. Craziness. So let's dive in. Carl, what do you think this Cameron Payne trade to the Suns? What do you think of the Cameron Payne trade from the Suns to the Spurs? Is he a starter, given how slowly the Spurs plan to take Wemby's first season?
I feel like because he's a veteran, he has to be a starter. And with as slow as the Spurs are trying to take it, I can't see them bringing him on and just sitting him on the bench and playing the young guys over him. You know, they want their young guys to get their minutes, but they need someone else there to actually perform so that they can actually get minutes on the bench or recovering or just training and not competing. So I don't think he'll be on the bench. I think he is going to be a starter for the Spurs, but I really don't know why the Suns did it. What like I haven't read deep enough into the whole transaction, but it seems like it couldn't have just been for Bol Bol unless they felt like Cam Payne was just a redundancy
Mm.
since they have Beal now and they have drawing a blank on Devin Booker. So would they really need another wing like Cam Payne? I don't know. I think he's a good player. I think he gave the Lakers and everybody a lot of trouble a couple years ago. It seemed like he was really the one who showed up when Devin Booker or Chris Paul weren't showing up or Durant weren't showing up. But I think the Spurs will use him right. I'm happy he's coming to the Spurs. I think he's aggressive. He has a lot of energy. He likes to compete. I think he'll be a good presence in the locker room for the younger guys, and he'll hold us afloat this season. But another thing too is I I wouldn't imagine the Spurs are even trying to get themselves out of the lottery this year. I feel like they would I feel like they would want to just kind of really slow play this, not worrying about how many games they win. Now, what do you think?
This trade, it tells me that they're not aiming for the lottery. I mean, this is a proven veteran, pesky player, playoff player. Important. He was an important cog on that team. I mean, as you said, when Chris Paul was down, he would step up and give you Chris Paul numbers. He never quite sustained at that level, but the fact that he was able to feign Chris Paul and really get under a lot of teams' skin, it says a lot. I mean, he seemed, and that's kind of like, he seemed like a Spur to me, and it makes sense. I suspect that they're trying to win. I mean, they might want to get Wemby, he needs to have a winning season. He needs you have that kind of player. I mean, whatever ends up happening, y'all need to win more games than you lose. And I think that they're trying to stack things up they need positive energy. They need him to start really feeling it and this to become a thing. That's
Mhm.
what I think that they're trying to have happen. Pick up a player like that, and it makes sense. Yeah, they're going to win more basketball games because they have him. Um, so
That's telling of something else too. Last week we were talking about how maybe the Spurs were ruining Victor Wembanyama's chances at getting Rookie of the Year. But if with this move, it seems like they might be helping him or anticipating that he will play those 65 games. And if he does play those 65 games, they're probably going to be winning most of them. And they might as well have another veteran, decent player in Cam Payne to help them do that.
yes, look at Zion, the last generational player, as they called it. Who just there's no way you can say he's panned out. Jury is still out, but now he's getting on up into his prime years, start of
Mhm.
his prime, his real prime. They haven't put any kind of cast around him, and now finally people are starting talking about, is he leaving? Is he not? They want Victor Wembanyama to be there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Spurs want him to play for their team for 20 years,
Hmm.
and they're making investments now so that he's a lifelong Spur. They're not want to do one of these things where they don't do anything for 2 or 3 years and then all of a sudden he wants gone. He's not happy.
Yeah.
They're doing right by him. I mean, you got to these GMs, these coaches. You got to recognize who you've got. You've got to know when to go all in, and I believe this is the start of the Spurs doing that.
Take care of your players. And if it's important to him to get Rookie of the Year to prove that in the NBA after playing professionally in Europe, yeah, I think as a team you do it and just hope he doesn't get hurt playing all those games.
Yes, he's young. Play basketball. He's a basketball player. Play basketball. And by the way, Pop signed a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
Magnificent. And that's another investment going right along with what we're saying. He's not going anywhere. Um,
And to that point, I heard someone saying that that's a big indication that they are doubling down on player management, player management, managing their minutes, rest management,
load management.
load management. Yeah, so that them offering a 5-year extension to Pop just signifies that how serious they still are about the way that he coaches, which has to include load management.
100%. I'm excited. This is going to be a good year. And nobody wants to see them coast. They need to win some games. We want to see them. We want to see him coaching way he always has. We want to see the Spurs come back as a big team. It has the
Yeah,
NBA hasn't been the same since,
yeah.
um, to some degree, has not been the same since the Spurs stopped being an entity, and and the fates have rewarded you with this amazing player, and you have proven in the past that you know what to do when you get some
Yeah,
money.
it's
So
it's happened 3 times now. It seems to always happen at the right times for the Spurs. I mean, yeah, they could have gotten LeBron and didn't. I mean, they couldn't have, record-wise, but these number 1 picks that they've got have been really good. I've liked them. Talking about, kind of the shift in players and the teams this summer, given, like, how much of an impressive summer that the Lakers have had, Rob Pelinka in the front office, um, do you agree that he has the best supporting cast he's ever had around him since maybe the bubble?
certainly, as a Laker, this is the best team that's been around him. Now, that bubble experience, the people there, that was special. But you had a lot of guys that was their last year. That was their last good year. Like you had a collection of guys that were getting older. So I mean, that was something you could make the argument that that was a better supporting cast, and they won the championship. But
I
if you
think that was the last time I saw McGee.
right, but if you kept those guys, it wasn't going to be that way. So I stand by their decision to um,
Shake it up.
shake it up. They kind of had to. The year after that, um, they had a good team, and LeBron just got hurt. Anthony Davis got hurt. It's we've said before, but I mean, you can him and haw, and you can slice it 100 different ways. But if you don't have LeBron at 100%, it doesn't matter who you've got on his team. So that's what we had. I mean, and definitely haters and whoever can say, "Oh, that was a bad mistake to blow up your team," but we'll never know.
No.
Uh, Now they have a very well-rounded and deep team on good contracts now, and what I'm hearing, Carl, is that the Nuggets are going to be in their sights. They're not taking this lying down. And now I know it's a lot of talk and whatnot, and um, and I'm sure they're happy to be under the Lakers skin, but nonetheless, they're going to be on their bulletin board all year. They're coming at the Nuggets, who could be very well be a better team. We don't know what's going to happen, but this is not going to be some afterthought. This is not going to be whatever. That we're going to now find out really what both these teams are made of. Um,
Man, I'm excited.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're
That
one.
mean they put Lakers Nuggets for Christmas.
They ought to. That'd be nice.
Is it usually an East-West team though?
Well, it's not always. It's
Okay.
usually big. Just some kind of marquee matchup. Um, but a lot of times it is a finals rematch. A lot of times, I mean, when you're talking about LeBron 10 straight finals, generally it's been a finals rematch for him on Christmas Day.
Mhm.
But I mean, I could be biased, but does anybody really remember the finals this year? It seemed like that it seems like what everybody's talking about is how the Nuggets will beat LeBron.
Yeah.
And everybody's when I see people referencing on Instagram, wherever it is in the comment section, when it comes down to it, they're joking about, they're making fun of LeBron, they're talking about how they swept the Lakers. That's what's being talked about. You know,
On the
on
the
the
Nuggets players?
uh everywhere I'm seeing people talk about basketball, that seems to
Oh,
be the prominent thing. People are cracking jokes about the Lakers and Nuggets. About how the Lakers got swept by them.
yeah.
And
I
I
wonder
nobody's really
why everybody got so much hate for Bron?
love him or hate him. I mean, he's the top. That's what happens when you're the top dog. and he's the number one person that gets talked about in the NBA by a long shot. And the Nuggets were upset. I mean, the Nuggets were, how much chatter there was about how they didn't get talked about enough, and they kept saying, "Why are you talking about them?" And then they win, and then people are like,
Yeah, I
"Well,
feel
you're
like
still
if
talking about the
anybody,
Lakers, even though we beat them." And so, uh, so he gets that level of hate too.
yeah. Well, it seems like the Nuggets are, the Lakers are under the Nuggets' skin also. If he keeps talking about it and bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Malone acts like he's LeBron's daddy, and well, look, they finally scaled the mountain. All right, and so what else? They got to enjoy this. I mean, I say it all the time. If we gloss over it and we just start talking about next season, then none of this means anything. I mean, it matters that they won and they get to enjoy
Yeah,
this.
but
Have to
they
respect the
didn't.
fact
They
they are
didn't
the
really beat
champions.
LeBron. They didn't really beat LeBron. LeBron had a great series against the Nuggets. I think his last game he scored 40 points,
He
and
got swinging too.
which brings me to the big question about the roster is, can LeBron James still take the Lakers to a championship with the current roster? I think I don't think he can, because otherwise he would have. I think that he's still as good of a player as he's been for the past 7 years, 8 years. But if AD is not healthy, it doesn't matter. LeBron can't take anybody to the finals if the second best player is just not healthy or takes out every other game off.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of like not really the question, but he can't. He can't. He tried last year, this summer, a month ago, and he played really really well, and he couldn't, and it wasn't his fault though. So I'm saying he can't. What do you think?
Well, I hear you, and I tend to agree. However, I think that I think he could if you give in a world where Anthony Davis wasn't playing well and actually had a diminished role, and they had other guys take up the slack, I think that they could have enough team to make it to the finals. I mean, they
Yeah, yeah.
you know they beat the defending champion Golden State Warriors. You know, that was a task. That was not a small task. And and Anthony Davis did play very well, but I think that you're right in the sense that if the game plan is the game plan and Anthony Davis does what he does, then they're not going to get there. But if things were adjusted, if throughout the season it seemed like he wasn't picking up the slack and um, they may have enough firepower to do without him. There was a one of the years, it was the last year that Kyrie was on the Cavaliers. They made it all the way to the finals. They didn't even need him. Kyrie's not Anthony Davis, but his role was really minimized just because everybody was scoring, so they
Hmm.
could do something. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility something like that could happen again. By the way, the Lakers uh uh over under for wins is 46. I think they can go over that.
I
Now,
think so too.
I think it could be less than that if people
It
get
can only
hurt
be
or something.
46. It doesn't make sense.
I know. Well, you never know what kind of mess they could get involved in terms of injuries, and all of a sudden they are playing from behind. Like last year they started, you know, losing a bunch of games, and listen how far they've come. I mean, we still had Russell Westbrook on the roster, and it was the ultimate shit show, embarrassment. Like you take that they had the best record in the NBA after the All Star break,
Hmm.
and they were playing from behind that whole time. They were behind the eight ball. They
Hmm.
literally had the best record in the NBA post All Star break, and they squeaked into the 7th seed.
Yeah.
You know, so if
And
they
then
could
and
just
then all the series they had.
play something like that from game one, they could have a 50, 60 win season.
And now I think with a lot of the supporting cast, they'll have a better opportunity doing that for sure. But either way, LeBron can't do it by himself.
No, he's not going to be doing it by himself, not in that Western Conference. And and just to finish out my answer to this, I mean, I think that the biggest question mark is, do the Nuggets regress? Are they better next year? I don't, having seen what we've seen from Nikola Jokic, I don't imagine him regressing. Now, does the rest of the team, like, you just don't know. That's why
You
it's
don't
hard,
know, and
hard to repeat.
it's
It's
not
hard to
just
stay
the
healthy. If they're a shade less than they were, the door's wide open. If they're as good or better, then somebody's got to step up. And the Lakers could still lose, and maybe it's not a sweep. But again, that was a close series for a sweep in terms of the point differential. And that sounds ridiculous to say, but those were winnable games. I'm not of the mind that that was unwinnable. That we were even that far off,
if
especially with
Anthony
the Golden
Davis
State.
could hustle more than Jokic, they would have won. All he had to do was hustle a little harder, they would have.
See, I don't have an answer for you there as to what happened. I mean, he just looked like an inferior player to Jokic.
Or he just thought he was too good.
I what makes you say that?
Well, if AD thinks he's so good, he might not respect Jokic as much as he should and put in the work to be ready for him. If Anthony Davis feels like he's so good backing someone down or shooting his mid range, he might not be so focused on what Jokic is going to do. And it
Mm,
seemed like he didn't have an answer for Jokic, and he was just trusting his game rather than coming with it. LeBron's previous team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, won the NBA Summer League Finals tonight
mm.
and beat the Houston Rockets, who I thought were going to win, but they ended up not winning. Cam Whitmore ended up getting the MVP of Summer League.
Yep.
Wemby only played the first 2 games of the Summer League, and he led Summer League in blocks.
Dang.
Interesting stat for you
Hmm.
regarding Summer League. But Summer League is officially over. Cleveland won the finals. They handed out the rings tonight. I don't really like them, but they're full of diamonds, so they look nice.
Mm-hmm.
I just really don't like the red lettering in the middle, the SL Summer League in the middle.
Well, and the fact that they don't have, like, they just made some rings and then they put them on whoever wins. It's not like, doesn't even say your team.
You're right. Well, they want to happen day of
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make
This
them generic.
self-contained. Cleveland's long summer league nightmare is over. Uh,
Yeah.
yep.
Their first time winning since Summer League started in 2013.
Hmm.
I heard that there are tons of Summer League rings at pawn shops.
Tons.
That's what an NBA player who's now an analyst said. I can't remember who it was. That there are probably tons of those rings, the Summer League rings, because those guys a lot of times don't even get contracts.
Right. Yeah. And, winning's a good thing. They,
You can still put it on your Insta bio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Cam Whitmore, that means something. You're the Summer League MVP.
That one I might keep.
You're gonna get some attention because of that. That's a lot of guys. You're the one person that comes out on top. It says a lot about you.
Yep.
Um,
But I mean, if you're like the 10th coach down the line and the team wins, the Summer League team wins and you get this ring full of diamonds, do you keep it or do you sell it?
keep it. I'm keeping it. I mean, it's got to be worth more in your hands than somewhere else, right? I mean, why do you need that
What are
money?
the rings worth?
It's probably
I would estimate 300,000.
hmm.
Do you think they would give a $300,000 ring?
Okay,
I don't
so
know. I
uh,
just don't know ring
a
value.
quick little search here. An NBA championship ring, the actual money that it costs to make, between $50 and $150,000. Summer League is not that.
No, but what's the retail value? Well, yeah, maybe for $100,000, I probably would get rid of it.
This says around 20,000 a ring for a Summer League ring.
Is what you could pawn it for?
Yeah, or that's what it cost for them to make.
Oh, 20,000.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it's 20,000 worth of diamonds and gold.
I'd rather have the ring.
Oh, I definitely would have the ring. Because
Yeah,
that could be the only thing you ever win. You know, if you're in the NBA Summer League championship game, it's actually kind of a bad sign, right, for your career. But
yeah,
it's easy to say when we're focused on stars only. To them, it's amazing, and it'd be amazing for me
yeah.
too.
It's the big accomplishment.
Yeah,
Speaking of champions, our last topic is what happened this weekend with Steph
insanity.
Curry.
Yes,
Did you see this live, or did you watch the replays of
I've
his hole in
I've
one and
seen
then
the
his eagle?
replays. Yeah, I've seen it, and I've seen him play in some of the other years. You know, that's
Yeah,
another one of those things like Summer League MVP. I mean, yeah, it's a celebrity golf tournament, but by the time you win over everybody, that's really an accomplishment. And um, if you've ever watched these things where they play pros and the pro-ams, you know, yeah, the pros are better, but when it comes to putting, pros don't make everything, So
right.
you get down there for eagle, and you got to putt it 20 feet downhill,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
and
I mean,
make it turn the right way.
yeah, I mean, you got to actually make the shot in front of all those people. That's not easy, and pros don't have some advantage that you don't have. That was difficult, and they do this like different. It's not stroke play. They have points. Like a birdie's
Mhm.
worth something, an eagle's worth something. Um, and he could have birdied that and lost. He
Really,
gained 4 points with an eagle.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Yes, if he had not made that, he wouldn't have won, and it wouldn't have been a tie either. So,
Wow.
so he had to make that, and he did. And that's after a hole in one. That was crazy. That was crazy. And I was just imagining, he gets to experience that all. He has the life we would all want. It's like, I mean, I love golf, and he gets to have the runoff, throw his hat in the sky, the
Yeah,
9 yards.
yeah.
You can't tell those people that were there that that wasn't a
He
major.
ran 160 yards.
Yeah.
That pin was 153 yards from the tee box.
Somebody asked him, "What's up with you being so? Why are you in such good form right now?" And do you know what he said?
Hmm.
Losing to the Lakers. They're out.
It's
So
been focused.
he's been playing golf since they lost, and they lost a little earlier than he's accustomed to. He's
Yeah.
been playing golf, and here's the result.
Oh yeah.
They- yeah, no, he's very
I'm
good.
gonna win something. Damn it.
Now, given what you've seen, I mean, you think he could be a pro player if he was retired from the NBA, or if he just decided all of a sudden, I'm going to Michael Jordan this thing, I'm going to play baseball,
Not
but
really
golf.
in the PGA, but isn't there like a retirees PGA kind of thing?
Well, yeah, yeah, well,
It's a golf league for like older golfers.
right, the senior tour.
Senior tour. Yeah, I think he'd do well.
Let's see, what's it? Does that play the name? Okay, yeah, that's I thought they changed the name to PGA Tour Champions. Used to be called the Seniors, but yeah, Champions Tour. Yeah, I mean, he's 35 years old, so he wouldn't be on that. He would be, plus he's not a PGA Tour champion. He would be on the Corn Ferry Tour. That's like the equivalent of like the NBA G League, you know?
Okay.
Very competitive. I mean, those are all guys that are very good. He's played in some of those things. And maybe he's better at golf now than he's ever been, but he's played in some of that. And this is, I mean, look, those pro-am conditions are not what a major tournament, let alone just a regular PGA Tour event or a Corn Ferry Tour would be.
No, I mean the hole
Talking,
in one he made was on a par 3 course. I mean, 153 yards isn't really that long.
no, they have par threes on the pro stuff too. I mean, that's more believable. That can happen, but what I'm talking about, the difference in the great players and the people that are just really good, what happens when something goes wrong? Because the pros, they're gonna hit a bad shot too. They're gonna have a drive that ends up in the woods. But then what do? They still put it on the green,
yeah.
their second shot, you know.
Mhm.
Or they missed the green and they ended up in a horrible bunker. What happened? They still knocked it to 2 feet stone dead, and they put it in. Most of the time,
Yeah.
can recover from bad shots. Where Steph Curry. Well, I recall what he did. The what is it? I know it's called the Corn Ferry Tour now, but there's a different name. The Well, it's just called Corn Ferry now, but it's the one that all the guys that are second tier, right, trying to get their PGA Tour card. And it's the sort of thing where he'd play really, really well, and he'd break par, you know? And the guys that won were like 17 under.
Wow.
Um, and he'll play his butt off and he'll miss the cut, or he'll barely make the cut. You know what I mean? And that right there, for an NBA player to make the cut, that's insane. He made the cut. He was in no danger of winning and in no danger of actually getting his PGA Tour card and going further. Now, the dedication that he has as a basketball player, if all of a sudden you're telling me, all right, he quits basketball, all he cares about is golf, the drive that he has to be good, and what we just saw, I could believe it, that he could get to the next level, but just so much goes into it to win, you know. I don't know. You're asking for lightning to strike twice if you're telling me he's gonna be able to win PGA tournaments. That's not ever gonna happen.
Really? Okay.
I mean,
I would agree. I
I'm
would
saying
agree with you.
in reality, it's not going to happen. Could it if he quit the NBA now? Slim chance, maybe.
Yeah.
He's not gonna do any of that.
But these guys have been playing since they were like 7.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but more power to him. That was amazing to see.
Yeah, I loved it. It was cool. That's pretty much it, man. That covers everything that happened this week. So I'm excited to put out our 4th episode.
Yes, this has been an amazing talk, Carl. We're gonna have a lot more battles in the future. We're agreeing on things today, but just so you know, um, it's on once the season starts. I'm no longer a Spurs fan. We are no longer friends. All right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as soon as the season starts. Okay.
But
Big
I mean, we could be friends, but once it gets in between the lines, that's where it stops.
right. I'm not playing nice once we get down to these games, because where my allegiance lies
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
in basketball terms. All right. Well, I'm William Pierce, having a great time with Carl Silva, talking NBA basketball. Check us out on Spotify and YouTube, and there's more to come. Be well.
All right, later, William. Good chat.
Subscribe
Thanks,
now.
Carl.